Welcome to another episode of Fordify Live. This week, our guest is Will Ezell, a great friend of mine and also one of the smartest marketers that I know. Now, he's the secret weapon behind so many successful businesses, as well as infomercials and all kinds of products that he's invented. And when I was looking for a guest to talk to us about increasing profit and performance, there wasn't anybody I could think better than to Will Ezell. And so, Will, welcome to the show, Fordify. We are live. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Ford. It's always a pleasure to see you. I'm going to have to be on my best behavior today with you because you and I can get pretty silly pretty fast.
Well, we can get silly. I will say I'm going to try to keep the adult language out of it, so I don't have to put disclaimers, because we've got all kinds of executives and brands and small business owners and connections on LinkedIn. We are live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we can say Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever. We're mainly on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So let's get right into it. What are the challenges that you see with businesses today? Just even understanding, before we get to the Profit Activators and what that's about, what would you tell people about just what profit is? Like, we're talking about Profit Activators, but first, what exactly is it?
Ford, I hesitate to give a definition to the word profit, just like I hesitate to give a definition to the word marketing, because that word marketing scares people to death. When I hear people say, I'm going to go out and do some marketing today. Really? I thought marketing was more of a series of well-orchestrated events that people put together, not just, I'm going to go do some marketing. But it's the same thing with profit. Well, so many people are confused about that word that I hesitate to put a definition to it. And I hope you're not upset with me for that. But
no, I think for me, the challenge we have when we work with our clients, and you and I both help clients, is helping them understand that it's not about the definitions. Some things will make you smarter, but they won't make you any more money. For the purpose of a clarification, though, marketing is an overall term used to generate interest and generate a lead. And selling or sales is taking that lead and actually moving it through the pipeline. But today we're going to be talking about how do you increase your profit, which would be being more efficient in your marketing, as well as being more effective in your sales. Now, I want you to go ahead and enter in the chat or whatever platform you're on. If you've got questions, we'll be answering them live on the episode. So if you tell us hi from wherever you're at, just type it in the chat. It's good to see you there. So Alex, good to see you back. One of our frequent viewers is back on us. So Will, what would you say? I'm going to ask you one of your questions. You're famous for these Profit Activators, and these are your secret weapons. I know you have 13 of them. But today, with the time that we have together, we're going to take a look at maybe 1 to 3 of them. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
So before we do that, though, why is it important that they pay attention to today's episode? What can they hope to gain after listening and learning about the activators?
Well, Ford, first of all, I have never seen anybody, even a Wharton grad or Harvard Business School grad, that really totally understands the foundation of and the processes and the systems to scale and grow. They teach theory, they don't teach practicality. And it might have taken me, well, you already know this. I sold one of my businesses for $30 million. I sold another one for a lot more than that. But it took me a long time to develop all of these processes and systems to scale and grow a business. And you asked about what's the biggest problem that most people have. I would say finding, attracting, and most people never say this third word, but I'm going to tell you, it's closing. And by the way, you are probably one of the best closers I've ever met in my life. So you have to know how to do all 3 of those, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think closing's been given a bad name over the years because people, it's about opening relationships. It's about long-term value. It's about the customer experience. Yes, label it what you want, but nothing happens if you don't market, and marketing doesn't matter unless you can close some sales. So whether you're retail or wholesale, B2B, B2C, you've got to really recognize that. Now, you can use whatever term that you feel most comfortable with, but the process of business, the process of marketing is just giving people enough information that they can make good decisions. It's not trickery or manipulation. And we're going to get into some things about AI here in a little bit, but it's understanding that process. So let's start out with the Holy Grail. You've mentioned the Holy Grail, and you said, these are some very basic numbers that you need to know about your business, and use these numbers to increase your profits anywhere between 33% and almost whatever, right? So what's the Holy Grail activator? Explain that one to me.
First, let's back up just for a second. I want to say to you that if you don't have a process of getting people to say, yes, I want that, you're never going to be successful in business. So before everything, and we're going to talk about that, that's the message. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I want to make this clear. If you have not mastered your message, you're in trouble. Okay? So what's the Holy Grail? The Holy Grail is a series of numbers that every business owner needs to absolutely know about his or her business. And number one, what's your average transaction value? Do you know people that own multi-million dollars will tell me, well, it's around. No, I want to know it to the penny.
Exactly. And it can be different with different product lines, but they do need to understand what's their average transaction. What's the next piece?
That's right. What's their annual residual value? That means what's the total dollar amount that you get from that?
Right. What's their long-term value, right?
Right. That's exactly right. What's your cost of goods sold? People tell me the same thing. Well, it's around X, no, I want to know to the exact penny. And you said it right. It depends on the service. It depends on the product. But you have to know your cost of goods sold. So if you don't know those numbers, how are you going to grow your business? You don't even know if you're going to grow your business 10% or 20%. But let's say that you do this. Let's say you increase your average transaction value 10%. Let's say you increase your annual residual value 10%. And let's say you increase your number of buyers by 10%. At the end of the year, that's a 33% lift in your business. Let's say you increase all of those numbers again by 25%. Now you have almost doubled your income. People don't know this, and the reason why is because they don't know their numbers. It's the easiest way I've ever found to grow a business.
And we're live. I dropped something on my pocket, and I'm like, I'm doing this, and my staff is in the room going, "You're live." I'm like, I know I'm live. It's okay. So on top of the average transaction value and the long-term value and your cost of goods, I'm going to add in a bonus one. This one I would think everybody take notes and write this down. I want people to tell me what's their cost to acquire a customer, right?
Right.
What's their cost to acquire a customer? Because whenever it comes up with any type of advertising campaign, you have to know what's that number. So if you're going to do pay-per-click, how much can you afford to spend on a campaign in order to get the leads, and how many of those leads get converted, and what's your profit on the upfront sale, and what's the long-term value? Because without these metrics, there's no way that anybody can actually run a business. So regardless of what business you are, if you work for a business and you're responsible for anything in revenue generation, you've got to make sure you understand your basic numbers, which is Holy Grail activator number one, the Holy Grail.
Ford,
anything else on that one?
I want to challenge you with something. You, and I've challenged you with this on previously. You keep saying the word customers. I want you to get rid of that word. If you look up the word in the dictionary, it's based on a financial transaction. Okay, I want you to call them clients, patients, whatever. If you're my client,
yeah, but this is live, everybody. I'm gonna dispute this, because when I work with a lot of franchise businesses, right? And they're retail. Sometimes they're quick serve. A lot of people think fast food, but quick serve restaurants, QSRs. I've worked with fast casual, full service dining, and those are customers.
No, they're not. They're guests.
Well, that I would agree with. So we're gonna have to hit the different button for this one.
Ford,
that's good. So I would say they're guests, but so what is the issue with the word customer though? Because I just wrote 55,000 words in my revised book of Accelerate, and the word customer is used 10 million times. And I'm not going back and edit it now, because Devin, who's sitting off camera here, will it'll not be pretty. So what's your issue with customers? Like, for those listeners, does it really matter whether they call them customers or clients?
Let me finish.
Oh, that would be good.
Okay. So what I would like to tell you is that customer is based on a financial transaction. If you're my client, you're my guest, you're my patient, whatever, you're my buyer. But more so, if you're my client, you're under my care, my protection, and my guidance. That's very, very important. And I say, do you want to be my customer or do you want to be my client? I rest my case right there.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. That one was pretty good. Okay, so we'll say that's good. All right. So now that they understand that they have to get their numbers, and they have to make sure they understand their numbers, because if you're not measuring, you're not managing. And we're talking about how you can increase the performance of your revenue generating efforts, your marketing, your sales, and so forth. Let's get to profit activator number 2, your message.
It is your message.
Yeah. Now, that's something I on all my keynotes, I have a whole section on the power of a benefit message. Tell me how it relates to you and your clients when you're working with them.
Well, there's one critical factor, and that is, how do we do it without it feeling salesy, smarmy, pushy, obnoxious, whatever? And for the last 9 years, almost 10 years now, the only thing I've focused on is relationships, building trusted relationships, letting people get to know me, their clients, whoever it is. And at some point, when you have that relationship, someone will call you up and they'll say, Ford, I feel like I know you. And you know what they just said to you? They don't just know you. They know you. They like you. They're going to buy from you, and they trust you. So stop doing the push. I wrote a former client of mine today an email because he had 3 pushes in an email, and every one of them are email pushes. And I said, would you stop it? Would you just give me an opportunity to get to know you or your team? Build the relationship. That creates the trust. When they say, I feel like I know you, that means know, like, and trust, and they will buy.
So I'm all about action with Fordify Live. What's an action step that people can take to improve their messaging?
Well, the easiest thing in the world to do, messaging. That's a really complicated answer, Ford. And I have eaten, breathed, and lived my entire adult life trying to figure out what to say to make it comfortable to people, to where you build the trust. I don't know the absolute answer, but I can tell you the absolute best way to do it. And that is to shoot videos of yourself giving people an opportunity to get to know you. And by the way, when you make a mistake, just go back and correct it. Leave it in the video, because that makes you more believable and more real. But talk to somebody like you're just having a conversation with them. Communicate with them. Let them get to know you. Even show them your vulnerabilities. Okay? And you and I have plenty of them.
Yes, we do.
All day.
All right. So we're going to come back to message in a little bit when we start talking about what's impacting, which is ChatGPT, and OpenAI.com. We'll come back to that message in a minute. But I want to go to number 3. So 1, you know your numbers. Number 2, you got to improve your message, and you got to really understand what your customer wants, and you have to be able to communicate and lead with benefits and substantiate with features. So one of the action steps I'd like the readers to take is, whatever you're marketing, I want you to look at your website. I want you to look at your brochures. I want you to look at your email. I want you to look at any touch point that you have with the customer along the customer journey. And I want you to look for, what's the message I'm sending, and how am I being authentic, and how I'm delivering value? And am I really leading with benefits? And for those that might be newer to the program, a benefit is something intangible, and it's the result of what you do. 15 years in business is not a benefit. The benefit is trust and confidence. So I want you to think about, one of your action steps is, go grade your marketing, look at it from the eyes of the prospect, because unfortunately, a lot of you hired some type of an agency, and it's like you twisted your head and you took your head off and you hired them and you expected them to understand your brand. And that's great. I mean, I run an agency at Prime Concepts. We still need to make sure we understand, the relationship between their brand and their clients, as Will so eloquently explained. So you need to lead with benefits, substantiate with your features. So in your action steps, go check, look at your eyes, look at your stuff from the eyes of the prospect. Now let's get on to number 3,
Whoa,
improving your system. So you want to be able to do it. Okay, so let's go ahead. The mic's yours.
Okay, there's a critical factor to communicating with people about how you can best serve them. Okay, and I call it the 4+4. It's what people want and what people want to know. The very first thing, what do they want to know? What's wrong with me? Can you fix me? How long will it take? And how much will it cost? Ford, that's one of the simplest things you can answer in a sales presentation. It takes less than 5 minutes to answer any of those. And then what do people want? They want solutions, benefits, pain relief, and results. So if you're going to craft a message, craft it around the 4+4, what people want and what people want to know. Okay, I'm off my soapbox on that.
All right, no worries. All right, let's go to number 3, okay? Profit activator number 3. So number 1 was your holy grail. You now have to know your numbers. Number 2 is you've got to have, really clear messaging and make sure it's in alignment. And if what you're selling and you're not getting enough leads and sales, it's basically your message in most cases. You're not communicating clearly. And let's go to number 3, your systems, because one of the ways you're going to improve your profits, you can increase your top line revenue, but if you want to increase your bottom line profit, then you've got to improve and optimize your systems. So tell me, where do people start, and what is Profit Activator number 3 really all about?
Well, it's very, very simple. Taking a page out of the McDonald's playbook. And I believe that McDonald's has an answer for everything, a solution, a system for everything, and they train it, and they train it. And what I'm telling you is when I start a new business, in the first year, I create 50 new forms, at least one a week, because we start identifying ways to develop those processes and those systems to scale and grow. If you do not develop systems, you're just going to sit idle. You're not going to grow anywhere nearly as fast, and your team members aren't going to want to know how to answer questions that your prospects are asking. It's very, very important that you develop.
So where would they start? So if you're a business owner, I mean, obviously common sense, they need to have systems, right? I mean, we all know they need to have systems, but where do you start? Now, what I would recommend, I'm going to give the mic to you in a minute. What I recommend is that they use video, do screen recordings. There's all kinds of apps, and we use Loom, LOOM.com. We're not endorsed or they're not sponsoring this episode. So, but we use a lot of different products for creating standard operating procedures and systems. So you need to look at it both strategically and tactically is what I say. And then you need to document in a way that other people can consume in short modules. What do you say to those things?
Excellent, Ford. I want to tell you, I try to keep things really simple and basic. Maybe that's just how I am. But you know what? It starts with how you answer the telephone. Okay? And what I mean by that is, don't tell me it's a great day at Prime Concepts. I don't care about your day. I want to know how you can make my day great. Okay? And
well, I thought you want to know about my day, but okay, fine.
No, my very first business card in my business card pack says, nobody cares about you or your boring business. They care about themselves. Okay? So let's talk to them and try to help them improve their life in some way. But don't tell me it's a great day at XYZ business. Really? I just don't care. I want to know how you're going to make my day great. And you don't have to have videos yet, but you do need to know how to answer the telephone, and don't make those mistakes at all. The other thing is, take a look around and look at all the stupid things that people are doing in business and start taking notes. Okay, I created this concept called 52 train wrecks, and I actually found 52 things that people are doing wrong in their business. Stop doing all that crap. You have good common sense. Just use your common sense. That's where your processes and systems begin. Okay? And then we all know what to do. Read, watch videos on YouTube, listen to Ford Saeks. This guy is a master. I'm so
appreciate that
of your intelligence, Ford.
All right. So, all right, go ahead. Thank you for the compliment. Wait, finish the compliment. I don't want to step over the compliment. I mean,
go ahead.
I'm not Devin. She just called me. I'm number one. I'll let you guys figure out what that is. All right. So
yeah, well, good for you, Devin. Okay. Good for you.
All right.
Just sends the same message back to Devin.
No. All right. So let's move on to something that's really taking the internet by storm. This is a live event. Everybody knows by now what it is, unless you've been living under a rock, and that is Chat GPT. Have you had an opportunity to play with it yourself?
No.
Okay. So when we get off this call, you and I will have a conversation about it. But I want to bring it up because if I didn't bring it up, I would be doing our audience a disservice. Now, there's a couple things, and it's changing. So Chat GPT is an open AI machine learning that's transforming how people communicate and work. So think about it like this. I can pay someone $50,000 to be a copywriter for me. Or I can go to chat.openai.com, and there's a dozen of them now, right? That's ChatGPT, and I'll be putting some graphics up. But this episode is not going to be about ChatGPT, but it's about Profit Activators, and it goes back to your systems. So one of the things that I want the readers to know is that you can't just you can't just let your staff go and use ChatGPT to generate marketing and sales copy, because even though it's unique copy from machine learning, you still have to have the human touch because it's not perfect and it's not organized. But the Profit Activator, as we wrap up this call, is one of your action steps is to go to chat.openai.com. There's a gazillion companies now that are competing for it. They launched about 3 weeks ago, and they raised over 1 million users in 1 week. All right. So that's it for this week's show. You've got some action steps. Number one, get your numbers. Do you know your average transaction value? Do you know your cost to acquire customer? Do you know your lifetime value? And do you know your cost of goods? Number two, make sure you work on your messaging. Go back and look at all of your marketing materials and score them on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being it's very effective and 1 being it's not. And most likely, if you're not getting the conversion, it's because you're not clearly communicating to them. Number three, make sure you create systems. Look at your business. Every business owner, every franchise group I speak to, it's always about, I don't have time. Or they have high turnover, so they're constantly retraining. Well, one of the ways you're going to improve your performance is if you have systems in writing and videos be able to do that. So any closing thoughts for today's episode, Will?
Ford, I think we've covered the first three, which I call super activators. And let's get together again and talk about a few more.
You've got how many?
13, well, 14 actually.
14. All right, everybody. That's Ford Saeks and Will Ezell. I'll see you next time on Fordify. We help you fortify your business.